The Speakers Bank Podcast. Our voices, our views. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Speakers Bank Podcast. I'm your host Nathan, and today joining me once again is Storm.
Hello everybody.
And Catherine.
Hi everybody.
And today we'll be discussing social media and disability. So to kick us off, we'll be talking about our thoughts around social media. So I suppose my first question to you guys is social media of benefit to people with disabilities? Yes or no, and why and how, I suppose?
Well, for me, it's 50-50. Depends on how you use it. It can be used as a way to break down barriers for people with disabilities, that they can talk to people in their own sort of cocoon, or they can search for like jobs and stuff without the hassle of being discriminated against with their workers. But the bad thing about the social media thing is people can take advantage of you. I remember when I was using social media sometimes, you can get like these fake profiles and people would try to con you into giving them money.
Like a scam.
Yeah, like a scam. Like they would say, oh, you're very good looking and all that sort of stuff, and then you get, you think, oh, she might be good, to talk to. But then you find out they want money into a certain account, and because they think that you're not very educational.
Yeah.
And that's where you get into trouble. So
I'm very good at destroying that notion. Catherine, so what are your thoughts?
I find with social media it's good that you can find groups that will help you. It will kind of connect in groups where you can have social life and meeting new people through people and friends, and you can also find groups where you can connect with, like you were looking for a connection. Someone might say to you, check out our Facebook page and look on and see and all that kind of stuff. And so in a way that's how I found Speakers Bank. So I found Speakers Bank with a friend, had a meeting, connected with it, found their Facebook page. So it shows what it's about and what it does. Same thing with Interchange. I see what they do and what kind of activities they have on offer for the support, and I can just find groups after groups.
I still remember the days where we had, instead of the internet, it was all newspaper ads, and that's how you found your disability services. But now, because of the web, we can easily access different services that we don't have to have trouble finding them for.
And that reminds me of the yellow pages too. Remember those?
Oh,
big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you guys also know that there are also social media features now available to assist people with disabilities, such as keyboards, automated captions, self-captioning, apps, and various other things, as well as Zoom and text features on camera phones. So I suppose my next question to both of you is, should we advertise ourselves as a person with a disability in our online profile? And if so, why or why not?
For me, the answer is quite simple. You have to put yourself out there, and the disability is a part of you.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to put your whole self into it, then you shouldn't be doing it, because otherwise people will call you a liar, and you don't want to be called that.
Yeah.
And you have a reputation to keep, and that's one of the things that helps you connect with other people, is you being honest with them from the start.
Yeah.
So I think that's very, very important.
So, Catherine, what about you? Can I ask you, should we advertise ourselves as a person with a disability in our online profile? And if so, why or why not?
Well, I think it's important that you do show yourself as a person with a disability out there and not hiding it, because if you don't, then people aren't going to be aware of who you are. They'll see you as a person, but they also need to see the needs. So if I was to go and help others, I can educate them about me, and then especially for families with special needs kids, because they need to, and families that don't, to be aware of that, so it's more inclusive and how we can support them, because we're like the advocate for those people and for schools and that.
Yeah, see, I personally, I must admit, I don't advertise myself as someone with a disability, but that's purely because I have noticed that, even with myself, that if I see someone who, states a medical condition online, I can automatically have preconceived ideas of who they are.
Yeah, that's the problem though. But then when you don't and they meet you, they're like, oh, are you sure you're the person that you were talking to? That was the issue I had with that, with what you're saying. I agree to a certain extent, because you just want to be you, but then if the person doesn't like your extra luggage, that's the other issue too.
Yeah. But I think two people should be focused on your face. And
absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and not the disability.
Yeah.
But too often, the label comes first rather than the person.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you guys think are some of the dangers of oversharing on social media, or what they say is TMI, or in other words, too much information?
Well, your identity can get stolen for a start. I see a lot of people taking a lot of pictures, and some of the pictures I find should be just stayed where it actually is. For example, if you've got an important moment, like a birthday or something like that, sometimes it's not a good idea to share it, because it's a personal memory. And I feel like sometimes if you keep sharing things, you're never going to have memories that are only to you. Like, I'll pose a question to the panel, and I'll say, there's got to be some memories that all of us share that we don't want people to know. It's personal to us, and special to us. So I think that there needs to be a balance between sharing, but also the fact that there's some things that you need to keep personal, just so you can be yourself and you can have your own memories, because by sharing it, you're sharing your memories to some people you might not know, or you do know.
Yep. No problems. Well, we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about keeping safe on social media. So, what do you guys think are some of the dangers of oversharing on social media, or what they say as TMI?
Well, one thing is your identity can get stolen. Number two is that you can overshare your photos. I'm not really worried about that, but it's up to personal preference. For me, I like to share some photos, but there are some photos where no matter how much I like you, no matter how much I respect the people on social media, there's some memories where I just want to be kept to myself, because it's a personal memory of who you are and what you do. For my social media platforms, I tend to enjoy YouTube the most, because I like to, just surf the web on YouTube. I like to watch my football channels on YouTube. I like to look at the disability issues that are facing on YouTube. The one I use least is probably Twitter, because I find Twitter is only good if you need short and sharp. For me, because I'm an extrovert, I like to talk and explain it in a longer version. If you go onto the Speakers Bank Facebook page, you'll see some of my opinions on some of the recent articles on disability topics, and they're fairly long, but that's due
Yeah, we
because
call them an essay.
I'm very, very passionate about my disability topics. So yeah, and I don't use Instagram because again, I don't like to post too many photos. But I do agree that if you're a posting photos, selfie person, you probably need to use Instagram more.
Yeah. So, Catherine, what do you think some of the dangers of oversharing are?
I find I don't put too many photos on, only the ones that look good and people are interested in. I like to, when I want to share, it's more like what I'm doing and all that, none of the negative stuff. And yeah, I that's about all.
Yeah, that's it.
I just want to point something out too. When you use social media, and this is what I found too, it's not just people with disabilities. When I post something on my Facebook, there's certain topics that I found that you've got to be very careful when you talk. Religion, race, politics,
Well, that's right.
and sport. I find that if you can avoid those topics as much as possible, you'll have a better time on social media.
Yeah.
Because people can get very, very
Nasty.
nasty about those topics if they don't agree with you, of course.
Do you know what I suppose I want to storm, Catherine, is that at the end of the day, no matter what I think on a subject, people are always going to disagree with me regardless.
Oh yeah.
And I once actually saw a post from a radio host back from election day last year. It came up in my memories, and it said, when discussing politics or things that you disagree with, the reality is that people get petty when they go, oh, I'll unfriend you if you think this or whatever, and it's just absolutely petty. But I suppose my point is, I get to the point where I go, I laugh at it and I say, well, I'm going to post something controversial regardless of what you think, But at the end of the day, if you have a problem with it, that's...
If I see something on like Facebook, someone posts something related to disability negatively, I think, nah, you're wrong. But I wouldn't go ahead and comment on it because that's when things can get worse.
Like I used to be very, very posty on sports subjects, but now I've sort of just stepped back a little bit because I don't want the backlash. And I just found if you don't want the backlash, then don't post. But also I found that the society we live in now, if you all are having an opinion, it's too politically corrected.
Yeah.
So,
and that's exactly what I don't like.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with using social media, is that if there's an opinion that looks to be right, but no one else is willing to stand up for the right opinion, then you get the backlash because that's not really what the opinion was in the first place.
Yeah, and I think people in society that I've noticed personally, that when you post something controversial, they look at it like a personal attack rather than just your
on them.
opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's my thing. As a society, I think we've lost the art of, just
freedom
respectful.
of speech.
Well, not even that, because technically Australia doesn't have that per se. But we have lost the art of respectful discussion on respectful, healthy debate, rather than going out into all-out war. Because it gets to the stage where I've said to people, okay, I'm going to leave this discussion now because at the end of the day, we're not going to see eye to eye. I've been perfectly respectful to you, but you clearly can't grow up, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a big problem in today's society.
But it's ironic that we've been talking about all that because it actually ties into what we've got coming up after this break, which is keeping safe on social media. We'll be back right after this break, and we're back. And now we're going to be talking about cyberbullying. So to start with, what we're going to do is we're going to define cyberbullying. So guys, cyberbullying is what happens online when you get harassed, or it can happen through an email, text, social media, online chat rooms, and other online media. So it basically comes in the form of essentially abuse.
Mm.
So I put to you guys, what are some of the potential ways by which we can protect ourselves in social media?
Well, one thing, and this is the most important thing, to make sure your computer doesn't get hacked or your account doesn't get hacked, regularly change your passwords.
Yeah.
I know it's very frustrating, it's very, very annoying, but it's to protect you and it's to protect your loved ones.
Yeah.
So then they don't get, like your bank accounts get stolen or stuff like that, or other personal details that are important to you. Number 2 would be to install an antivirus program to make sure you don't get nasty email viruses.
Mm.
So I think it's very important to have an antivirus program because you want to stop viruses, particularly in emails and websites. But the classic ones that I find that people with special needs have trouble with is identifying which email is a bad email and which one's a
Yes.
normal one.
Yeah.
So
And that's what most antiviruses
Yeah.
can do for you now too. They can tell you this doesn't look right. Like I know one other thing I would say to you, Storm, and we'll get to Catherine in a minute, but one thing I want to say quickly is that even if you don't, regularly change your passwords, maybe have, and this is what I find, one password that only you remember with a combination of letters and numbers that only you could know.
yeah, it's just very frustrating because I know on certain accounts they ask you for like 9 letters and then they'll ask you for a capital letter
Yeah.
or they'll ask you for an underscore, and you're thinking to yourself, can't we just have a simple password where it's just a capital letter with a couple of words that are not
Yeah,
not
so
just like
it should be universal.
universal, but because these hackers have spoiled it for the rest of us.
But do you know, with most antiviruses now, you can actually do what they call a master password. So basically, you nominate a particular password that you want, and it allows you to access everything. So that becomes your gateway. It's called like a vault.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
But Catherine, what do you think? What are some of the potential ways which we can protect ourselves in social media?
Well, for a start, being mindful of who's sending you friend requests.
Absolutely.
If you don't recognize that name, don't add them.
Mm.
And if someone says something that you're unfamiliar with and you don't really know that person, I'll think just don't even respond back to them.
Yeah. And the issue is sometimes you'll do a conversation and you know that person but they're not acting like it. So you got to know the difference.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've had that many
And
times.
so one of the things that I would say, Storm, and this is what I do when I get an unsolicited friend request, is I look at not only, okay, does this person have any mutual friends, and if so, who are they? Because if they're mutual friends that I know personally,
Yeah.
chances are they know that person
Yeah,
as well.
that's right.
But if it's a friend, sorry, Catherine, but if it's a friend on Facebook that I don't know personally and they have mutual friends, then it's like it's less likely.
But there's
don't add them until you
Yeah.
have met them in person.
But there's also a few occasions where I found that when you're talking to someone and they don't sound like Nathan or they don't sound like Catherine, and they're like talking to you
Like with the way they write.
yeah, with the way they write, that's when you got to be very careful too.
Mm.
Because I had an incident a couple of months ago where a friend of mine who was probably I've known for a while asked me money out of nowhere, and I know my friend doesn't ask me money out of nowhere. And then he said to me, "Oh, can I put this? Can you give me this money into a bank account?" And now I had no idea what this bank account was
Mm.
and who this person was, but he kept trying to pretend that he was my friend, and I didn't like that.
Mm.
So what I did was I unfriended that account, talked to my friend with the real account to find out did he talk to me on that.
Yeah,
particular
because
day.
you'll often see posts floating around on Facebook now that say, if you get a friend request from this person, or if you get another, or sometimes even I've posted, where you'll see a post every now and then from even me that says, if you get another friend request from someone with an identical profile as me, don't add them. Because if you already have the real me, don't add the second person, because what they do is they duplicate your profile.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's what happened. Like, I might be friends with you guys already. You're my friends on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get another friend request from Storm or you.
Yeah.
That means that there's a hack
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's silly for the same person to send you a request.
Oh, it's...
And someone that has kind of learning needs doesn't understand
No,
what's
they won't,
happening.
they
So
won't.
that's where I'm lucky that I'm aware of it
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
because it's happened a few times.
Yeah.
And this is why we're talking about in today's podcast, to help those people with higher needs to understand the difference
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah, that's
And I know this is going to sound stupid, but another couple of tips are, click links with caution.
Mhm.
But another one that everyone should be familiar with, because this happens around the office where I volunteer, is that sometimes people leave their Facebooks logged in and someone will write something stupid to say, I hacked into so and so's Facebook.
Yeah.
They should really be more
Always.
careful. I love it when that happens. But I suppose the point is, and the message behind that is just, if you don't want your friend or someone you trust to write a really stupid status, just make sure you log off, because
Yeah.
it protects you from
Yeah.
some embarrassment and
And
getting
make,
hacked.
and make sure you log off on your NetBank Saver account or anything to do with money. Make sure when you're done, log off.
Yeah. Like one of the great security features, for example, that my bank has is that if you're inactive for like 5 or 10 minutes, it'll actually automatically log you out, which can be a pain in the neck.
But it's saved
good.
you. Yeah.
Having said that, I've never left my bank account open in an internet cafe,
No.
and I never want to. So we're gonna switch gears slightly. So we've talked about obviously keeping safe on social media, but what do we do when we're being attacked by someone, or what do we do when someone we know is a victim of cyberbullying?
Well, for me, I haven't really been attacked by cyberbullying, but for me, if I was in that situation, I would probably just try my best not to read it. I know it's very, very difficult, but if you can't read what they're saying and you can't look at it, it can't hurt you. So that's what I would do. But also, the number one thing, block the person.
Yes.
And I would have a cooling off period of 2 weeks of no social media at all,
Yep.
just so that you can get your headspace out of that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you keep logging on, they'll keep attacking you. So to keep your mind nice and fresh and ready to go. But if it gets any worse, please ask your parent or guardian to help you, because the more people know about your cyberbully, the best. That's the best result, because they can help you with services and they can support you, because cyberbullying is still bullying, but it's
Yeah.
just on the wide world web.
Catherine, do you have any thoughts on the subject before we move on?
If it was me, I would certainly, if I was getting bullied on Facebook by I don't know who, but I would certainly inform my parents or your closest friends that you would trust, and a support worker.
Yep.
And if it was a friend, I would and they told me about it, I would certainly advise that they talk to someone about it and how they can get some help.
What would you do in a situation where you're getting cyberbullied by a person you do know and not a troll? Would you continue the conversation on Facebook, or
No.
would you meet them face to face?
Do you know what I'd probably do if it was back in
I would,
my...
if it was a friend that was attacking me,
Mm-hmm.
like it was another special friend, I would tell their tell their parents what's happening.
Yeah.
Tell my parents what's happening.
Yeah.
And go
Because
further, because sometimes people don't understand what they're doing is wrong.
Because one of the problems with social media, and I find this a lot, is that you can say something, but other people might read it in the wrong context.
Yes.
And the difference is when you meet up with them, you know what the context of what your statement is. But in social media, it can be used in many ways.
Well, one of my thoughts is, if ever I've received, not that it happened very often, but if ever I received a nasty or smart alecky message from, someone that I knew in high school, for example, I'd message them first, but then I'd say, let's talk about this more tomorrow at school rather than
exactly
over the internet.
Where everybody, can see it.
Yeah.
But if they're going to be a bully towards you, then block them straight away.
Block them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we do have some advice for you at home before we do go. One is to know that it's not your fault. Number two, and this is very important, don't respond or retaliate as much as you'd like to. Sometimes I would. Number three, save the evidence.
Yeah, because
especially if you're being threatened or you need to take it to the police.
Exactly, and you need all the evidence to because if it gets to that stage, it's going to be a who's and what, and you're going to have to get the evidence.
And I'd say also, especially if you're a student or a child, reach out for help, especially if the behaviour is really getting to you. And that might be, the school welfare coordinator or someone that you trust. And I would say as well, use available tech tools as we've discussed earlier. Protect your accounts, which we also discussed earlier. And if someone you know is being bullied, don't stand by and watch. It's important to take action. And it's also before we go, it's also important to know that everything everything that we've said is general, and that case by case handling is a sensitive issue, and that if you're unsure with what to do, ask for help before you do anything. Tell someone you trust so that you can both seek further help, because every case is individual. And the advice we give may not be specific to your situation.
And if you're a person with a higher needs, always try to use social media with a person you can trust, because that way you know you're safe and you know that your family's safe.
Yeah.
And with that, that's all we have time for today on the Speakers Bank podcast.
Keep safe on the web, guys.
Yep, keep safe on the web, and ironically, we'll be back again soon.